Sam Darley here, and I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and looking forward to the new year. I know in Houston, the Houston Texans will wrap up their season, their nightmare season. To 2017, they've used a record number of players due to injuries. They are 4-11. There's been debate about Bill O'Brien, Vic Smith, the GM. And I'm going to tell you how they recover from this disaster season. It's been a disaster since October. Well, actually, since the beginning. It started in training camp in the Greenbrier, West Virginia. The Saints had training camp there. They had three straight losing seasons, and then they stopped training there, and now they're in the playoffs. So maybe the Texans need to cut that contract and get back to Houston and train in Houston next season. But fear not, the Houston Texans have $70 million in cap space. They got a young star at quarterback and Deshaun Watson. They've got to start filling these holes on the offensive line and the secondary. It's whether it's their weakest. So, but of course, so much has gone around, what should the Texans do with Bill O'Brien? He's been the last year of his contract as the head coach of the Houston Texans. Next season, no coach in the NFL coaches the last year of their deal. And I've got three moves that I think the Texans should do. There's three options for the Texans. Number one, they give O'Brien a small extension and give him the chance to rebound with a healthy Deshaun Watson, a healthy roster, give him a chance to really rebuild that secondary, that offensive line. The second option is to fire both Bill O'Brien and Rick Smith. This is probably not the most likely option that they'll go with, because we don't know what's going to... obviously nobody knows what's going to happen. The NFL stands for not for long, but, Rick Smith has been lasting through two coaching regimes, and the Texans haven't really improved in either one of them. Like, they've had a couple playoff berths, they've had 4 playoff appearances, and are 0-4 in Super Bowls. They don't get to the Super Bowl, they get knocked out. They're 0-4 in the divisional round. Both losing twice to the Patriots and losing to the Baltimore Ravens. Oh, I'm sorry, that's 0-3. Because you got to take into account they got bounced by the Kansas City Chiefs. I keep forgetting the Chiefs had a wild card round. So, anyways, Houston's roster has holes on it. I knew that coming into the season. Kind of felt like after they didn't get Romo and Jay Cutler, that their Super Bowl hopes were dashed anyways. Obviously they had a good defense. They were banking on having a great defense and having a strong running game and having Tom Savage be solid while Deshaun Watson learns the reins and learns how to, kind of prepare and be ready for the NFL. Well, that went to hell in the handbasket in week 1, and Deshaun Watson was thrown into the fire. He did well, and Cincinnati with literally no tight ends and one receiver, that was DeAndre Hopkins. And then after that, he just exploded. They put up 40 points a game. They were the best offense in the NFL. The Texans were 3-3 with Deshaun Watson. Then they played the Patriots. They had a chance to beat the Patriots and the Seahawks. Bill O'Brien's coaching decisions at the end of both of those games cost them that game. They crushed the Titans and really they had a chance to beat Kansas City, but Deshaun Watson being a rookie, not really understanding clock management yet. From a NFL quarterback standpoint, the internal clock of a quarterback is different in the NFL than it is in college. That being said, I think O'Brien should get one more, at least a small extension, and he should be given the opportunity to rebound with Deshaun Watson. I think Rick Smith should be fired because he's been with the organization since 2006. And other than the first round and second rounds of the draft, he hasn't really done much in the rounds 3 to 5, which is typical of Super Bowl winning teams. It's where you find your diamonds in the rough. It's where you find those guys it's where you find quality depth. And I know Houston's had a lot of injuries this season, and their depth has been questionable. Has been tested. But it's no excuse. He's been here since 2006. He's had 11 years. But either move him out of the GM role, put somebody else in, or just fire him, period. they can't fire just O'Brien, because the first thing a new head coach is going to ask Bob McNair is, why is that guy getting, why have you fired two head coaches, Gary Kubiak, Bill O'Brien, but not fired your GM? They're going to look at Rick Smith and they're going to say, why does that guy still have a job? When coaches are getting fired, you're making the coach look awful. Sometimes it is the GM, and again, I don't think they'll fire Rick Smith, and I don't think they'll fire Bill O'Brien. So that being said, I think the third option, after McNair's prison comments, I think either he steps down and Cal McNair takes over the reins of the team as the owner. He's the son of Bob McNair, and then obviously it's up to him what he wants to do with Rick Smith and Bill O'Brien. So really, I mean, the Texans' messy season gets a little messier in the offseason because there's really no solid option. They got plenty of cap space, $70 million in cap space. They got to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney. They got to bolster the secondary. They got to rebuild the offensive line so that their starting young quarterback doesn't get banged up every year, and so they don't break Deshaun Watson. So, I think Houston, this is a bad year for Houston. No other way around it. I think they'll rebound. I thought they would win the South. That's not going to happen. They'll be 4-11. I think they'll win against. I think they'll find a way to win in Indianapolis. But maybe they're mentally checked out. That's another team that's talking about firing their coach. Chuck Pagano's a good coach. I don't think firing him is the answer there either. I think there's going to be there's going to be a lot of coaching openings after this season. So you just had to really a wait and see approach, because the Texans have played this close to the vest. They haven't come out and said, we believe in Bill O'Brien, or we believe in Rick Smith, we believe in both these guys. Bob McNair has been silent since his little comments situation. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going on there. I'll see what happens with the Texans. There's a lot of things. I mean, they do have cap space. They don't have a first round or a second round pick. The first round pick was traded so they could move up and get Deshaun Watson. The second round pick was a plea to the Cleveland Browns to take Brock Osweiler off their hands, because they couldn't find a team that would take his contract. So, and they needed the cap space for DeAndre Hopkins. So, next year in this offseason, the Texans are going to have to build the linebacking core, the secondary, offensive line. And I think secondary and O-line are the top two priorities, because those have been the biggest weaknesses the last 3 years, outside of the quarterback position. Now they've solved that, at least for now. It looks like they've solved it. The NFL's a year-to-year league. Heck, sports is a year-to-year thing. You just never know. But I do think Deshaun Watson has sky-high potential. You want to see what he can do with Bill O'Brien healthy for 16 games. So I do think O'Brien gets a small extension. I think Rick Smith will either moved away from the GMs, lose his GM power, and be moved to a different part of the organization, or he will be fired. That's just how I view it. A little bit of NFL news. James Harrison signed with the Patriots after being released by the Steelers. It's going to be weird seeing him, a longtime Steeler, in a different uniform. So, but I mean, it's a good signing for the Patriots. They need a pass rusher. Get some more depth, and as they head towards home field advantage in the playoffs. The NFL season wraps up on Sunday. Playoff spots are there to be had. Coaches, and then Black Monday starts happening. Coaches get fired, teams get fired, all that crazy stuff. Little NBA news: the Houston Rockets lost their third straight game to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's their third straight loss. Chris Paul didn't play. Clint Capella returned. They're still missing Bar Mute. Their depth is really not as great as people say it is. They got great shooters. Harden's a great playmaker, but their defense suffers without Chris Paul. And I think the Rockets, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do at the trade deadline, because Ryan Anderson's a huge liability both offensively and defensively. They'll try and bounce back and try and end the skid. They do need to keep up with the Warriors, but they also need to expand the rotation, because I think guys are starting to wear down. This is the problem with Mike D'Antoni. He uses a 7-8 man rotation. It's starting to wear them down. They need to utilize other guys like Bobby Brown, Joe Quee, and so Houston. I mean, it's an 82 game season. It's a long season. The Rockets are very explosive. They're very good, but they do need to find somebody to take Ryan Anderson off their hands. He is not going to help them in the playoffs. He is not helping them really right now. I didn't think he helped them last year. He's a good shooter, but that's really it. So Texans are going to be making some big changes potentially. It's a wait and see approach. We'll see what happens after the Indianapolis game. And again, Black Monday the day after, the next day, sorry. There's going to be a bunch of coaching openings in the NFL. Playoffs are heating up. Playoff matchups are almost set. So it's an exciting time. And I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and I wish everybody a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching.